Hey Explorers, today we are going to look at dividing fractions. Okay, and we're going to look at two ways we can do it. We can divide fractions if we have a common denominator, and then we will also look at the keep, switch, flip, where we switch the second fraction to the reciprocal. Alright, so first I have the fraction 9/12 divided by 3/12. Okay. My denominators are the same, so I can just divide. 9 divided by 3 is 3, and then 12 divided by 12 is 1, so 3 over 1 is just 3, so my answer is 3. Okay, so if I have a common denominator, I can just divide across and be good. Let's take a look at a couple fractions that don't have a common denominator. So if I have the fraction, or the mixed number rather, 3.5, and I divide it by 1/3. Okay. First, I'm going to change my mixed number 3.5 into an improper fraction. So 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. 7/2 divided by 1/3. Okay. So now I'm going to keep 7/2 as 7/2. I'm going to switch my division sign to multiplication. And I'm going to change my 1/3. I'm going to flip it to 3 over 1. So then it just becomes like multiplying fractions. 7 times 3 is 21, and 2 times 1 is 2. So then I'm just going to change it back from an improper fraction into a mixed number. And remember that fraction bar tells us we can divide. So 21 divided by 2. 2 goes into 21 10 times with 1 left over, so my answer would be 10.5. Okay, now let's look at that same fraction, that same problem, 3.5 divided by 1/3, and we're going to change them and give them common denominators. Okay, so again, I'm going to change it to 7/2, change that to an improper fraction, divided by 1/3. Okay, so now look at 2 and 3. The least common multiple of 2 and 3 is 6. So I am going to change my denominators to 6. Okay, so they're both going to be 6. Now remember, just what I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So what I do to the denominator, I have to do to the numerator. So 2 times 3 is 6. So I'm going to multiply. That's 7 times 3 to get to 21. Okay. And then same thing, 3 times 2 equals 6. So I have to do 1 times 2. So I'm going to do 21 6 divided by 2 6. Which 21 divided by 2 is 10.5. And then 6 divided by 6 is 1. So my answer is 10.5. Just like it was when I did my keep, switch, flip. Okay, let's take a look at another fraction. Oops. So let's say I have 2 1/4. Oh, we're going to change this a little bit. Okay, so let's do 2 1/4. Divided by 1/2. Okay, so again, when I'm dividing, I'm going to change them into improper fractions if they're mixed numbers. So 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So it's going to be 9/4 divided by 1/2. Okay, so if I do my keep, switch, flip, I keep 9/4. I switch my division to multiplication, and then I flip 1/2 to the reciprocal 2 over 1. So then 9 times 2 is 18. 4 times 1 is 4. So I have 18 fourths. 4 goes into 18 4 times, and I have 2 left over because 4 times 4 is 16, plus 2 is 18. And I can simplify 2 fourths into 4 1/2. Okay. Let's look at that same fraction. Okay. If I change my common denominator, so I'm just going to go do it right down here. So 9 fourths again, divided by 1/2. Okay. My LCM of 4 and 2 is 4, so I'm going to keep it to 9 over 4, 9 fourths, divided by, and then I'm going to change this fraction to 2 fourths, so they have this same denominator. And then again, 9 divided by 2 is 4 1/2. Okay, let's try one more here. If I can erase. Okay, so then let's try one more fraction here, and then we'll look at some whole numbers. So I have 3 1/3 divided by 1/5. Okay, again, I'm going to change it into an improper, or 1 1/5. Let's go 1 1/5, not just 1/5. Okay, so I'm going to change both of them into improper fractions. So 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1, so I have 10 thirds divided by 5. 1 times 5 is 5, plus 1 is 6, so 6 fifths. Okay, so then I keep switch and flip. So I keep 10 thirds. I'm going to switch it to multiplication and flip 10 thirds to the reciprocal. 3 tenths. Whoops. Just kidding. My fraction is 6 fifths. So we're going to change 6 fifths into 5 sixths. So then 10 times 5 is 50. 3 times 6 is 18. Okay. 18 goes into, so 50 divided by 18. 18 goes into 52 times. And I'm going to have 14 left over. So it should be 2 and 14 50ths, or 2 and 7 25ths. Okay. Alright, let's take a look at some whole numbers. Okay. Let's change. There we go. So if I have 8 and I want to divide that by 1/3. Okay. So remember, in order to make a whole number a fraction, I'm going to put it over 1. So I'm just going to make that 8 over 1. Divided by 1/3. So then I keep my 8 over 1, my 8 over 1. I'm going to switch my division to multiplication. And I'm going to flip it to 3 over 1. So I get 24 ones. Okay. Same thing as if I do that with finding a common denominator, I still have 8 over 1. And I have 8 over 1 divided by 1/3. Well, my denominator is going to change to 3, because 1 and 3, the least common multiple is 1 and 3. So, 1 times 3 is 3. So then 8 times 3 is 24. So it'll be 24 thirds divided by 1/3. And I know that 24 divided by 1 is 24. So then 3 divided by 3 is 1. So my answer is 24. Same as I got over here. Okay. Alright, one more. Let's say I have a fraction 1/4. And I'm going to divide that by 6. And I'm just going to do keep, switch, flip for this one. Okay, so remember, 6, make it a fraction by putting it over 1. So then I keep 1/4 the same. I switch it to multiplication, and I flip 6 over 1 to 1/6. Okay, so then I have 1 times 1 is 1, and 4 times 6 is 24. So my answer is 124.